So that's really the core benefit. It's just streamlining that ordering process. But from there, once the order is delivered, we have a check-in functionality. So you can check in that all of the items that you ordered were received. If there are items that are damaged, if there are items that are missing, or you're short a couple of cases on something, you can check in those items, and then you can actually mark them as not received, and with a click of another button, send a credit request to the supplier. So really keeping an eye on making sure that you have all of your items in stock that you ordered from each of your suppliers.
Welcome back to the podcast, Rockstars. This episode is all about efficiency. Now, there's new technology that comes out all the time, and this particular platform we're talking about is all about simplifying the ordering process, which can be a daunting task. Plus, it takes a lot of kitchen labor to do that. Well, with this app, you can order from any supplier. Not only that, you can use credit cards to pay. And we all know that there's very few suppliers that accept credit cards, but through the platform, you can get an additional 30 days, which helps your cash flow by using a credit card. And you get the points that add up fast because we spend lots of money on food and supplier purchases, don't we? And then finally, there's manufacturer rebates. Now, I know from experience that a lot of operators don't take advantage of all the rebates that are out there from purchasing from some of these suppliers. Well, the app, it's called Cut+Dry, will capture all those things, simplify the ordering process. Tune into the show notes of this episode as well, because Cut+Dry is offering $50 a sign-up bonus if you move forward with the platform. So I'm speaking with Mr. Warner Siebert of Cut+Dry.
You're tuned in to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Bodwin.
Rockstars, let me tell you about 7 Shifts. 7 Shifts is a modern labor management platform designed for restaurateurs by restaurateurs. Effective labor management is more important than ever to maximize profit and success, especially now as restaurants begin to reopen and expand their teams. Trusted by over 500,000 restaurant professionals, 7 Shifts gives you the tools you need to simplify scheduling, easily manage time and attendance, communicate with your team, and retain your talent. Best of all, 7 Shifts integrates with the POS and payroll systems you already use and trust, turning your team into a competitive advantage to your business. Right now, Restaurant Rockstars listeners can get 3 months absolutely free. Get started now at 7shifts.com/restaurant rockstars. That's the number 7, SHIFTS.com/restaurant rockstars to get 3 months of industry-leading labor management for free. Now, on with the episode. Welcome back, everyone. This is the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast, and we are really all about reigniting your passion in this business. What got you into this business in the first place? We've all been through hell and back with the pandemic. There are brighter times ahead on the horizon, and now it's all about rediscovering your fire. With me today, Mr. Warner Siebert, and he is the Senior Vice President of Marketing of an app platform called Cut+Dry. Welcome to the show today. I'm so happy to have you, Warner. How are you?
Likewise. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great.
Great. Well, my audience knows we always start out with the hospitality backstory of my guests, and some of my guests have really interesting stories, and it may go back to your teenage years when your first job or anything in between. Tell us yours.
Sure. So I've had a love for the hospitality industry for my whole life. I started working at golf clubs all throughout my teenage years, worked in clubhouses. I was, a caddy, a bag boy, you name it. And then my first foray in the, I'll say the real restaurant industry was right after I graduated from high school and I was in my college years. I used to manage a couple of frozen custard stores in the beach of Bethany Beach, Delaware. And that was part of a restaurant group that owned a number of full service restaurants, as well as bars, all in the DC and Baltimore metro area, as well as the Delaware beaches. I grew up in Maryland myself, and I was kind of thrown into it. My sister was a scooper. She got mono. I filled in for her and then got offered the general manager position at the end of the summer. So every summer I would leave college, I'd go down to the beach, And I kind of taught myself how to run 2 small ice cream stores all by myself. And then I also spent years working as a server at a casual dining barbecue restaurant. And then I actually lived in Australia for a little while and spent some time working actually in a clubhouse in the restaurant at the Royal Sydney Golf Club as I lived in Bondi Beach. So it was a pretty great way to spend my year after college.
That's a great story, Warner. Thanks for sharing. You know, we have something in common. My very first job was at a country club, a private country club. And I'd say that's where I learned the basics of hospitality. And my first job was I was a dishwasher. And yeah, that was a dirty job. But I quickly became promoted to bartender. And that's where I really learned that if you provided excellent service to the members, obviously the tips and the gratuities followed suit. And, you know, as much money as I made, and that was great, I really developed a passion for the business and about service. And that little do you know, like how your life trajectory is going to go and what's going to lead to what. And I never, ever thought I'd be in the restaurant business decades later, but that's exactly what happened to me. And that was a foundational experience, as it sounds like for you. So
Absolutely.
let's talk about what you do when you're not working. What are your passions outside of business life?
I'll stick with the restaurant. I love cooking, so
Okay.
I've got a big green egg out back. So I spend a lot of time, doing low and slow with any sort of protein that lends well to that style of cooking.
Mhm.
So love doing brisket. And besides working, I'm kind of a full-time dad. As soon as I get off of my laptop here.
Yeah.
So I have 2 twin, I'll say newborns. They're 6 months old, but they were born.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Identical twin boys. So
Awesome.
that was a pandemic surprise.
Yeah.
And then I've got a 3.5-year-old daughter. So just doing a lot of family stuff. I live outside the New York metro area, so it's great to be able to pop into New York City, do a brunch with the family every once in a while. But besides that, just a lot of backyard activities and weekend activities.
Well, everyone tells you enjoy the time because it goes by so fast, and it certainly does. And I got to tell you, I really miss the years when my kids were young. I got 2 teenagers now, 14 and 16, and it's like, yikes. I mean, it changes at every stage along the way, but I really miss the time when they were just little kids and hanging on your leg and uppy daddy, pick me up and all that stuff. So you got a lot of great times to look forward to. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the reason for being, Cut+Dry is an app, and we're going to get into the ins and outs of what it does and why it does. But can you tell us about the typical ordering process in restaurants and why this is sometimes a very inefficient process?
Sure. I think the best way is for me to use my personal experience because when I was ordering all of my supplies at these 2 ice cream stores back in 2001 through 2005, the process is kind of the same today for most restaurants. It's a clipboard, creating your own order sheets, taking inventory, setting your own par levels, and then picking up the phone, calling one distributor, maybe emailing another, texting another. It just depends on kind of your communication preferences. You may have an online ordering interface, but the process has really not changed, over the past 20 years and really the 20 years before that. So it's a very fragmented and time-consuming process. And what we're trying to do is streamline that entire process from end to end, plus add a bunch of other additional bells and whistles that provide benefits to the restaurant operator.
All right, that's a great answer. I appreciate that. So we don't need to talk about the labor shortage. It is absolutely killing this industry. And one of the things that your app does is it increases productivity, and obviously it cuts labor, and there's some cost-effective savings there and all that. But aside from, before us getting into what Cut+Dry is all about, are you seeing any solutions out there right now that operators are, suddenly executing that is helping with this labor shortage? I mean, it's industry-wide. It's not just operators, it's suppliers are having warehouse picking problems and truck driving issues. And the demand is at an all-time high right now, where customers are flocking back to restaurants. And unfortunately, these restaurants have to close certain days because they can't staff up. I mean, my audience knows the woes really, really well, but are you seeing any solutions?
Besides cut and dry,
Yeah.
there are some out there. I think this is a really interesting time in the industry where
Mhm.
hopefully restaurants will stop looking at technology as a bit of a necessary evil. I won't talk, poorly about a lot of other, companies out there, but I will just say that, restaurants have become somewhat, somewhat, I'll just say, stigmatized in that technology takes away from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The online ordering platforms are kind of tolling food on the way out. A lot of the reservation platforms are tolling people on the way in. And I've been selling restaurant technology for over a decade now, and there's just a reluctance because restaurant operators think that tech is going to take from them in some sort of way.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it
I
is a
think
stigma. You're right. I see
yeah,
that.
I think that this is an opportunity for maybe a new breed of restaurateurs, whether they're younger or whether they're just looking for ways to be more efficient. And one of the most ultimate ways to do that is to implement technology, take things off of kind of pen and paper and clipboards and move them into a digital interface. It's actually a bit of a theme. I kind of stopped with my hospitality industry experience with working in restaurants. But what led me to what I'm doing today, cut and dry, has been a decade of different technology solutions. So I've been kind of killing clipboards for a number of years now. Back in 2010, I created a company called BuzzTable, which was a waitlist solution. So we were, killing clipboards and the hockey puck pagers and giving restaurants an iPad interface that would allow them to text them when their table is ready. It would create a kind of a guest profile so you could see how often customers came to your restaurant, what their preferences were, seating, food, and all that information kind of acted like a mini CRM. So a host or a server could have information on who these customers actually were. So that was something that led me to, my path in hospitality technology. Cisco acquired that company back in 2013. And then I spent about 5 years working in Cisco food service. So inside the belly of the beast, a lot of my fellow leaders here at Cut and Dry also spent time at Cisco. And that was really what gave us, an inside look into how inefficient the ordering process was. We spent a number of years building out Cisco's e-commerce solution. It's a phenomenal e-commerce solution, but it's still a single use, single destination where you can order just supplies from Cisco. And we know that restaurants are ordering from 4 or 5, sometimes dozens of different suppliers. And that's really what led us to come up with a better solution for the operator to be able to do more with their existing staff.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, let's dive into cut and dry. What is its main function? What are the benefits? And it's an app, and it's a free app too. So I want to talk about why is it free, but let's start with what it does and how it works and why it's important.
Yep. So there are 3 primary pillars of our platform. The first is what we call a unified or universal ordering platform. So you can add any supplier, whether that is a national broadliner or a small regional supplier, or maybe someone that you're buying, fresh truffles from. Doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
You put all of your suppliers into one single app. It creates a order guide for each of those suppliers, and you can place your order through the app. One interface cuts down, valuable minutes. We've got some restaurants that are saying 20-minute time reduction across 4 to 5 vendors, ordering 3 times a week, at 3 locations. That's like 15 hours of savings per week. So that's really the core benefit, is just streamlining that ordering process. But from there, once the order is delivered, we have a check-in functionality. So you can check in that all the items that you ordered were received. If there are items that are damaged, if there are items that are missing, or you're short a couple of cases on something, you can check in those items, and then you can actually mark them as not received. And with a click of another button, send a credit request to the supplier. So really keeping an eye on making sure that you have all of your items in stock that you ordered from each of your suppliers.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I could see an owner in a restaurant. They've already gone through their manager, their owner, whatever. You go through the whole ordering process, and then there's the whole check-in process. And now you got to literally count the boxes and look at the invoice and blah, blah, blah. And then you notice something's missing. So then that's a phone call to your rep. It's like all of this is time. And I'm hearing that the app does all of this,
does all of
with
that.
a click.
Not only that. So you can chat with your reps inside of the app as well. So if there is something missing, rather than picking up the phone, you can just go into the app, go into our supplier chat function, and start having a communication thread with your supplier sales rep. The nice part about that for owners or managers is that creates a single digital thread of all of your interactions. You can see who placed the order. You can see, whether different team members were reaching out. So you have this bird's eye view of everything going on inside of your restaurant.
It's really strong that, the background that you've presented, with the Cisco and the operations and everything and all the interactions with hundreds of thousands of customers that have literally led to this streamlined process. I see that as a huge competitive advantage.
Yeah, I don't even know how many different restaurants we've spoken to over the past, 5 years. But, we were pushing technology through Cisco, a cloud-based point of sale system, integrated online ordering, payments, integrates with that front of house system. The platform was called Cake. And I think a lot of focus has also been in kind of front of house tech. And what we're also really excited about is this, category creation within back of house streamlined digital ordering. There are other platforms out there, but there's nobody really doing it in the fashion that we're doing. I'll kind of continue with the value in cut and dry. So yes. You also mentioned that process of, checking boxes, then you end up with a bunch of invoices. So you end up with a clipboard full of invoices. Mm-hmm. You have to take those invoices, you have to get them to accounting. With our app, you can, with the click of a button again, you can scan and upload the invoice. It auto reconciles against what was actually delivered to check for any sort of discrepancies, and you can share with accounting without having to deal with stacks of physical papers. Once the invoice needs to be paid, we do have a new functionality that we just launched about 6 weeks ago that gives restaurants the ability to pay any vendor, regardless of whether we have an integration or relationship with them, using credit card or bank or your bank account. So for restaurants that are interested in keeping cash on hand, and whether the vendor accepts credit card or not, we use OCR tech to ocular character recognition to pull all the information off of the invoice. The invoice will then turn into a digital invoice, and you can pay it with the click of a button once again. And then we do all the rest. So we'll actually turn that credit card payment into a physical check, and we will mail it to the vendor on behalf of the restaurant operator. If we have a relationship with the supplier can very easily add their bank account routing and bank account information to our platform. And then instead of a physical check, we'll just do a bank transfer into their bank account.
Wow, this is fascinating stuff, and I'm trying to keep up. So many vendors don't accept credit cards, but now I'm hearing that there's a third-party interface that is literally paying the vendor when the invoice is due, but the operator is getting that 30 days of cash flow breathing room, right?
30 days of float plus all those all those credit card points that rack up. I've spoken to a lot of restaurants that feel like they're never going to, owners will never need to take another vacation with cash out of pocket because they've got, potentially millions of points added up.
Yes. And there's so many operators that miss out on all those points. I mean, when I owned restaurants, frequent flyer miles, like you wouldn't believe, free trips to Europe, all sorts of stuff. And now credit card companies have expanded beyond, the mileage programs, and now it's cash back. And it's amazing that, what you can take advantage of now and how that's changed. And we encourage every operator to take advantage of that. Now, there's also rebates, manufacturer rebates that, so many operators have, traditionally missed out on. Let's talk about how that works.
It's a great segue. You said cash back, and we're kind of going the same direction with our platform. So Not only is our platform free, but this is kind of the cherry on top, where we are also helping restaurants find trade rebate dollars, as everybody refers to them. The program that we have is called Cut and Dry Cash, and this is very unique to us. There's really nobody else in the industry that's doing this. When you create a digital order guide, we obviously have our own bird's eye view of all the different products that a restaurant is ordering. And we're partnered with the International Food Service Manufacturers Association, IFMA, and we have partnered with a number of their members to offer there's two different types of cash earning opportunities in the platform. There's order and earn, and then switch and earn. Order and earn is as simple as we found a product that has cash back opportunities available. And all you need to do is continue ordering that product through our platform, and we will deposit cash directly from those manufacturers into your Cut+Dry Cash digital wallet. So you mentioned this before, there's hundreds of millions, if not, I think billions of trade rebate dollars that get entered into the market. Very few actually end up in the independent restaurant operator's hands. The typical process is finding an item, filling out some sort of rebate form, mailing it in, waiting weeks. You might get a check back. You're probably not following up with it. It's just a very tedious, tedious process. So we do all of that for you, since we can match items that have cashback opportunities. We present them in your order guide. There's a little toggle where you can turn those off if you don't want to see them in our interface. But all you have to do is order and you earn. The second opportunity is switch and earn. So that's where we'll see that you're ordering a product, but one of our manufacturer partners has a comparable product, and they will offer some form of cashback reward if you switch to that product. We're also in the process of launching a sampling opportunity. We've heard from a lot of chefs that this looks like a very similar, enticing product, but I want to sample it first before I actually make a switch to start ordering, full cases. So we're working on a process where a restaurant can actually get a sample of that product. They get the cash back for that sample, and all they have to do is fill out a quick little survey on what their sampling opportunity was like. Did they like it? Did they plan on purchasing it? If they didn't, why did they not? And all that information goes directly back to the manufacturer. So giving manufacturers, farmers, and large CPG companies that are selling into the food service segment, who are typically selling to brokers, redistributors, and distributors, now they kind of have voice of the customer coming directly from the end buyer of their product. So we're really excited about creating this, connecting the two bookends of the industry in a new way that hasn't been done before.
From everything I'm hearing, there's so much ROI to your platform, but I shouldn't even use that term because there literally is no investment, because this is a free app. But even if you had to pay for this, it just sounds like the benefits are just so huge in terms of cash back, in terms of efficiency and cutting labor and all these benefits. Why is it free, and how is it free, and who's paying for all this?
It's a great question. So why is it free? Because we're able to make it free. And we really want to be a different type of restaurant technology. We like to say that we're the first restaurant technology company that puts money in your pocket. We are able to create a business and a business model that does not require us to charge a restaurant to use our service. So our revenue stream comes from our payments interface. So there is a service charge if a restaurant chooses to use the Cut+Dry pay function within our app.
Yep.
It's a nominal 3% charge, but the asterisk there is that that 3% charge can be zeroed out by using your available Cut+Dry cash balance. So if you have Cut+Dry cash, let's just say it's $1,000 invoice. Instead of paying that $30 fee, you can actually take $30 from your Cut+Dry cash balance and apply it to that to that invoice, and you now have a credit card payment for an invoice at a 0% fee. But we do have, for restaurants that choose to pay the 3%, there's a revenue stream there. We also partner with suppliers, and we have a number of premium e-commerce shopping experiences that we offer to suppliers. So the beauty of our platform is that we don't need integrations with any supplier. But then we do have deeper integrations with certain suppliers. We have a basic integration that just allows a supplier to use Cut+Dry as a digital order entry method. And there's tons of value on their side as well. All the time savings that the restaurant sees, the suppliers see the time savings there as well. They don't have sales reps or order desks taking emails, text messages, phone calls, keying them in. And they also see a lot of order reduction errors on their side, since there's a very clear digital record of what was ordered. they're not shipping incorrect products. So we have a lot of value for suppliers as well. We have a number of suppliers on our platform, though, where we've built out more of like an Amazon-like shopping experience. So we catalog all of their products. We actually have photographs and rich product details. So a lot of suppliers are starting to hop on our platform and using this as, call it almost an e-commerce with marketing automation and CRM built into it as well. So that's another revenue stream. And then lastly, we are working with manufacturers and call it like an ad platform. I don't really like to call it an ad platform just because it's not intrusive. The products that we're presenting to restaurants are very contextually relevant. We're not going to be pushing seafood to an ice cream store.
Right. Yes.
So it's just nice that manufacturers are able to take their products and surface them in our app to potentially win new business from customers that aren't purchasing those products today.
Let's talk about the onboarding process, because I'm sure we're getting a lot of intrigue from our listeners saying, okay, how do I do this? So what's the first step? And, obviously they can reach out to cutanddry.com, and that's all spelled out. But, let's walk us through a new client relationship and how long it takes to get up to speed and on board. And obviously you make it very simple to the end operator, but let's walk through the process.
But we just set a record last week where somebody created their own free account, added a supplier. It was an integrated order guide, and they placed an order within 3 minutes. So 3 minutes is our current record.
That's unbelievable.
We'll see if that can be beaten. But since it's a free platform, we don't have to do what a lot of other restaurant technology companies do, which is have a lead form, talk to a sales rep, take a sales demo, negotiate a contract, sign a contract. Our onboarding process is, the easiest that I've come across in the industry. Go to cutanddry.com. There's big buttons all over the place that say create free account. Once you create your free account, you're just going to add your email, your cell phone, your restaurant location, your name, set a password, and you're in. From there, the first kind of action is to add your first supplier. So you can add a supplier like, just a regional produce company that does not have an online ordering interface. All that you do is take a recent invoice and you upload, you take a picture of the invoice. We use that same OCR technology, and within 24 hours, we'll take all of the information off of that invoice and we will structure it into a digital order guide. And the new user will get an alert when that order guide is ready. That's the longest process, and we're working on condensing that to get within a few hours. The quicker path is if you're ordering from a national broadliner, Cisco, US Foods, PFG, you name it, that has an existing online ordering interface. And what we do, similar to what Mint does with financial institutions, we allow the restaurant to put their username and password in. We will log into that system on their behalf. We'll pull all of their order history out. And within a matter of minutes, we'll have a digital order guide ready to go. And then when you place the orders on Cut and Dry, it's actually pushing that order through the online ordering interface and placing the order on the website on the customer's behalf.
Unbelievable. Like, it's crazy what technology can do today. And, as an operator, we shouldn't really care about how it came about. We just want to know that it works, that it's simple, that it's going to have results and benefits. And you've made that crystal clear from start to finish on all that is. Now, this is a relatively new system or platform. Now, you had an extensive beta test with hundreds of restaurants. So let's talk about how that went and how you approached these, how you found the pilot restaurants to take part, what the criteria might have been. And you wanted some pretty stringent feedback on, shoot holes in this and tell us what's broken so we can fix it before we launch. I mean, that unto itself had to be a huge process. Tell us all about it.
It was a process. So I'm on the East Coast, but the company was headquartered. We've now kind of moved to a fully dispersed company, distributed company, as many other tech companies and just, many companies have done due to the pandemic. But we stayed focused in the Bay Area. So we had a sales team. I'll say, kind of old school sales of, door to door.
Yes.
We were knocking on doors. We were meeting with restaurants. We were collecting feedback. We were funneling that feedback to our product team. So we were using our early restaurants to actually build the product with us. We partnered with, I'll just say we had very close relationships with probably about a dozen in the Bay Area. One of our earliest users was Coupa Cafe, which has, I believe, 8 locations, primarily in the Palo Alto region. And JP, the owner over there, was just fantastic in giving us feedback. He's almost like an extension of our own company. And JP was the one that was kind of helping us really understand the value of our platform, and then helped us with all of the feature ads that we included in the platform. So we had we were at the point where we were onboarding over 100 restaurants and I'll say in a very non-scalable manner. We didn't have the create free account. We had to create an account for them. We had to send them their username and password. So it was a very manual process, but we were okay with that because, again, it was just about collecting user feedback. But once we got up over a couple hundred restaurants, we were actually a few hundred restaurants, then the pandemic hit. So the pandemic hit, and we saw our purchasing through our platform almost flat,
just plummet. Yeah, for sure.
So April and May last year was tough. We decided to help the restaurants in the Bay Area as well as the distributors that we had partnered with, and we pivoted very quickly into a direct-to-consumer business. So it was called The Market by Cut+Dry. Don't need to go. It's actually we've wound it down since then. But we started working with a lot of restaurants that were able to create par-baked items, and a lot of distributors that were not selling to the wholesale industry. And we partnered with one of our produce partners, Pacific Produce. And we very quickly, this is how fast we can move. We created a direct-to-consumer website and started selling, premium cuts of meat that you typically could not get, as many distributors did. But that actually allowed us to work very closely with the suppliers and understand what they needed to do. And we actually built some tracking software that we used to give consumers notifications that their deliveries were approaching. And we took that piece of technology, and this is another premium feature for some of our integrated supplier partners, where we actually have delivery notifications for a handful of our suppliers. So a restaurant will never have to pick up the phone, call their sales rep and ask, "Where's my truck?" Our app, as I'll just say, it's a bit of a beta product right now, but for suppliers using our Track Plus feature, all of their customers will get near real-time delivery notifications. So when the truck is headed their way within 30 minutes, they'll get an alert saying that your delivery is approaching. So another great value of our platform that was born in the pandemic, delivering to consumers, but we took that same tech and it's now a piece of our B2B platform.
That's fantastic. What an extensive process, but it's obviously tried and true and proven out in the field, within restaurants. And not only that, obviously we've already talked about, the expertise and the horsepower from the supplier side that literally improve this product to make it seamless and simple for the end user. That's excellent. We've covered a lot of ground today, Warner. Is there anything we've missed that you'd like to talk about?
No,
anything I missed in asking you about the product, about the platform, or anything else?
I think we've covered for the most part. I think we've covered kind of all the main value props. You kind of said it before, but the ROI is just nothing but positive. So I just ask that any restaurant that is struggling with labor and has a current staff, just do more with your current staff by implementing technology. And there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but I can truly say with a straight face that Cut+Dry is one of the easiest, quickest, and most cost-efficient pieces of tech that you could put in your restaurant.
Excellent. Well, again, the URL is cutanddry.com. Thanks so much, Warner, for joining us. That was the Restaurant Rockstars podcast, and we'll see our audience in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Guys, at Restaurant Rockstars, we're all about finding efficiencies, helping you to be more productive and more profitable as a restaurant operation. So this episode obviously was no exception. If you're looking to simplify, make your restaurant more efficient, more profitable, look no further than our Restaurant Rockstars Academy. It is a turnkey series of systems that help train your staff to maximize maximize sales, maximize opportunities, deliver amazing dining experiences. It also helps you to dial in your critical finances, all those important things like calculating your food, beverage, and labor costs, your daily break even. We teach you how to do all of these things, as well as proven marketing programs that cost little or no money. It's all in the Restaurant Rockstars Academy. I'd like to thank Warner Siebert for his great input in today's podcast and showing us all about cut and dry. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Cisco and 7 Shifts, the all-in-one labor management platform. If you're just discovering this podcast, why not get it in your email inbox every single week, absolutely free? To do that, all you have to do is go to our homepage at restaurantrockstars.com, or literally any of our website pages. At the bottom of the page, all you have to do is give us your email address, and all we'll do is send you the podcast every week. It's that simple. Thanks again for tuning in. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.